The drop pods hissed, plunging deep into Varel 4's humid, moss-laden earth. Steam billowed from the release valves, dissolving into the dense canopy above. Launched from the Academy's orbiting starship, 20 exceptional cadets were dispersed across the forest, each a prime specimen from a species renowned for its survival prowess. This was envisioned as a defining trial, the ultimate hurdle before graduation from the prestigious Galactic Cadet Academy. A watershed moment distinguishing decorated officers from mere grunts, icons from insignificance. If you've ever faced something alone, something that made you question if you'd make it through, comment, "I'm ready." Mediocrity, yet no one anticipated Varel 4 to pulsate with such raw vitality. Towering trees transcended Earth's rigid pines, their forms a mesmerizing dynamic geometry that compelled Mia Carter to squint. Each trunk appeared to writhe, its bark shimmering as if slicked with perspiration. The air hung heavy, saturated with the reek of decay and verdant oils, while the ground yielded softly beneath her boots, reminiscent of treading on a taut drum. She silently exited her pod, wordless, activating the compact emergency beacon by the hatch, a move she understood meant academic downfall in this assessment. Above, luminous bursts indicated descending drop pods piercing the canopy, some impacting clumsily, others gracefully stabilized. She was aware most peers possessed cutting-edge bio-augmentations, reactive skin, adaptive optics, species-specific survival glands. Her arsenal, simply her body, intellect, and Earth's ancient. Once the forests had whispered to her that instinct, not arrogance, guided her. She pivoted, crouching low, her fingers exploring the yielding earth, a dense tapestry of decaying flora interwoven with the bizarre, sinewy roots. A subtle tug, the microflora already probing, analyzing her very essence. She rose, brushing away the clinging damp soil, and ventured forth. Nearby, in an adjacent zone, a towering violet-skinned cadet, Varnick, emitted a series of subharmonic clicks, employing echolocation to survey the landscape. Renowned for their stellar navigation through desolate moon caverns via acoustic reflection, his krill species faced an unprecedented challenge in Varel 4. His clicks, usually sharp and guiding, were muted by the foliage's sound-absorbing texture, yielding no echo. Annoyed, he amplified his clicks, only to be met with unbroken silence. The bewildered krill cadet paused, then stiffened as a large presence stirred behind him. Mia, maintaining her course, registered the sound from afar, but remained unperturbed. She adhered strictly to the briefing's stipulations. No technology, no external support, isolated, voiceless, and trapped for the next day. The mission was straightforward. Endure the volatile landscape and erect a refuge capable of weathering the ecosystem's nightly transformation. Yet the mentor's guidance remained purposefully ambiguous. She halted at an opening, encircled by jagged stones and toppled trees. Faint markings hinted at previous passage, perhaps moments prior, their search driving them toward elevated peaks or even topography. She lingered, an odd feeling about this sanctuary offering a natural respite. The air was noticeably crisper, and the eerie whispers weaving through the woods seemed to soften as they neared this haven. She released her compact survival gear onto the earth and commenced assessing the trees for sturdy, climb-worthy boles. Simultaneously, further into the primeval forest, a cerulean-scaled cadet named Telge, hailing from Kaber's aquatic realm, grappled with acclimating his fluid thought patterns to the terrestrial pandemonium. He instantly sought to fashion a refuge by detaching expansive foliage and binding it using secreted gels from his person. Palms, yet the foliage stubbornly resisted. He roared in his mother tongue, swatting frantically at the swarm. The insects detonated into noxious, corrosive mist on impact. His cries resonated into oblivion. Another recruit yelled his name, but the jungle instantly devoured the sound. Mia paused at a tree's base, appearing vigorous and climbable. It angled slightly, offering firm placement, and its overhead limbs seemed tightly packed for strong support. She grabbed a thin tendril, testing its strength. It felt robust enough. Summoning her strength, she ascended, her legs entwining the rough bark, boots finding purchase on minute natural ledges. The tree exuded a metallic scent, as if iron or copper coursed through its veins, its surface deceptively smooth. Methodically, one deliberate movement at a time, she conquered the height, finally reaching a generous fork in the branches where she could initiate her sanctuary. Reclining momentarily, she recovered her breath, surveying the panorama. From this vantage, she discerned movement. Fleeting glimmers of plasma failures and frantic figures scurrying with armfuls of verdant refuse, destined to crumble. Some were frantically digging. Others were pacing in agitated circles. Some were utterly petrified. She observed as an insect, colossal like a miniature canine, emerged from the foliage and coated a cadet in viscous, ebony foam. The ensnared cadet writhed, completely immobilized. A drone lingered overhead, documenting the bizarre event before disappearing swiftly. The omnipresent system was observing. Mia redirected her focus to her designated tree, having pinpointed 3 additional branches at roughly the same height, creating an approximate triangle, ideal. From her survival belt, she retrieved her sole item, a carbon knife, compliant with test regulations. Employing it, she commenced to slice long strips of bark, inner limbs. These softened strips yielded robust cordage. She quietly hummed a comforting habit from Appalachian camping. Its soothing cadence calmed her, and importantly, didn't agitate the forest as hours slipped by almost unnoticed, save for oddly shifting shadows. Time twisted here. Mia trusted her internal clock, ignoring Sky's tricks. She overheard frantic voices, instructions, panic. Theories arose about magnetic shields and localized gravity anomalies. Some cadets even whispered the trees were sentient, knit into a neural network. Some dismissed the trials as mere psychological simulations, but she was beyond caring. Survival was her sole focus. Stay airborne, stay sheltered. As dusk encroached from the woods, a monstrous crunch fractured the silence, like gargantuan bones snapping. A scream erupted, a victim of the forest's apex predator. Mia recoiled, yet remained rooted to her lookout. Her position was strategized. The platform would be complete by night. Her mind, honed by years of trekking, constructing, mending, and enduring tech-free, demanded composure. She'd faced terror, battled through, and would again. Securing the initial branch, she intertwined bark cords, repeating the practiced loops and twists. A platform emerged gradually. Silently, trees swayed softly as a refreshing breeze swept past, granting a fleeting sense of freedom. Yet her resolve anchored her, rooted not in soil, but in unwavering self-assurance. Below, a cadet's shelter crumbled, followed by frustrated shouts. Didn't even glance down. She grasped for another branch. Much remained to be done. The light waned, unlike Earth's gentle twilight, but in sudden bursts. Golden rays pierced foliage, then shadows devoured everything in jagged streaks. The canopy reacted as if a living curtain was drawn. Mia paused, still upon her high platform. The shelter incomplete, but it was progressing. Sturdy enough to bear her weight and safeguard her from above, she'd meticulously arranged broad, palmate leaves atop, interwoven with plaited bark fiber. The structure swayed gently, yet remained resolute. Beneath her, the forest transformed. Not merely the light, but the very air shifted. The temperature plummeted dramatically, ushering in a clammy, earthy chill that permeated skin and fabric. Mia retrieved the thermal cloth nestled within her belt pouch, a square woven with earthland ingenuity. Insulation, she enveloped herself, cautious to maintain equilibrium. The atmosphere, devoid of vegetal scents, now reeked of metallic tang and a sickly sweetness. A piercing shriek echoed through the western sector, inhuman, unfamiliar, then abruptly ceased, plunging the forest into eerie stillness. Mia leaned, poised, gaze fixated on the rustling undergrowth below. Something stirred within. A weighty sensation pulsed through her, amplified by the throbbing trunk beneath. Nearby, a stout alien cadet ran, clumsily navigated the dense undergrowth, seeking refuge in the basin, presuming the yielding earth ideal for burrowing and nesting. Instincts ingrained in his Brontak lineage, though Viral dismissed such impulses, discovering the terrain comprised mobile, resentful biomatter unsuited to digging, a lesson Rin learned the hard way all afternoon. Desperate burrow for heat. Yet the earth spurned him. He gasped, laboredly, powerful limbs slicked with grime. His gaze frantically scanned the gloom. The pit he excavated oozed a viscous fluid that clung to his flesh, constricting his airways. Each inhale became a tortured wheeze as he pivoted, attempting to flee the engulfing mire he had unwittingly summoned. His limb ensnared in a tendrillous root that throbbed upon contact. It spiraled around his ankle, constricting ruthlessly with each frantic motion. He toppled back with a thud, impacting the moist earth. His cries for assistance were consumed by the forest's eerie acoustics. Mia observed from above, not maliciously, but with somber recognition. Earlier, she'd risked a single shout, testing for allies, but the distorted echo returned, twisting her own voice in mockery. She realized then sound was treacherous here, so she remained silent. Rin struggled below for several agonizing moments before finally severing the vine with his blade. Unaware, he was being observed. Nearby, a slender, multi-limbed cadet of the siren species attempted a pollen levitation feat. Native to her light atmosphere homeworld, the technique would create a floating haven. Gathering large ivory blossoms, she triggered their air sacs, envisioning a hammock aloft. Alas, Veril 4's gravity resisted. The sacs burst, emitting an ethereal, luminous mist that delicately coated her exoskeleton initially. She initially brushed it off, but an unbearable itch soon ignited into a searing inferno. Her screams pierced the air as she thrashed wildly, the eerie mist casting a bizarre halo around her torment. Mia averted her gaze, powerless to intervene, as the dim sun sputtered out, plunging them into impenetrable darkness. Mia desperately scraped a rock against bark, coaxing forth meager sparks. Insufficient, yet she'd meticulously crafted a tinder nest of arid moss and bark slivers. After additional attempts, the ember caught. She leaned in, blowing carefully, enticing the fire to ignite with unwavering hands. A delicate orange radiance blossomed from the nest, and she carefully transferred it to a simple bowl of coiled bark she had meticulously carved earlier. It provided brief warmth, but it was sufficient to warm her hands and banished the immediate chill. She nestled the radiant bark inside a reflective leaf dome to mask the light from predators lurking beyond the tree line. Increased sounds of movement filled the air. Maya distinctly heard claws scraping against bark, damp paws padding across moss, lengthy tails swishing through the dense foliage. Nothing matched the raw intensity of Viral 4, yet she felt their burning curiosity. These creatures tracked by scent and tremor. Light would tantalize, sound would ignite, heat would embolden the fiercest. Still as stone, heart unwavering, legs tucked tight, arms locked, breath faded to near nothingness. Another scream shattered the air, a stifled final gasp. Big Dreb, a cadet, had thrown together a makeshift shelter earlier using broad leaves and thorny vines. Now, the vines, animated in the dark, curled inwards, knotting, crushing his refuge, and biting into his spine. Thought the thorns were dormant. He was mistaken. His scream was consumed by silence, followed by a protracted scraping sound. Mia averted her gaze from the east. Another cadet triggered their emergency beacon. A faint crimson light throbbed in the gloom. Ascending steadily as a rescue drone deployed, the drone assessed the vicinity, deployed its appendages, and retrieved the cadet decisively. One casualty, one fewer voice in the abyss. Maya continued her mental tally. 18 survivors, perhaps fewer abruptly from directly below her platform. A sustained sequence of measured thumps resonated upward. She stilled. A colossal presence was prowling around her tree's base. Unseen, yet the bark pulsed beneath her touch. This entity, devoid of growls or sound, moved with assertive grace, navigating roots, caressing trunks. Abruptly, stillness descended. The woods inhaled sharply. A minute stretched, then 2, escalating to 10. She remained frozen, unwavering. Fire extinguished, scent concealed in mud, a trailless tree selected, no snapped branches left behind. With each upward push, she prayed it would suffice. As night intensified, the forest subtly realigned. The movement persisted, though more distant. The entity had moved onwards. Mia released a hushed breath, briefly shutting her eyes, not to succumb to slumber, but to recalibrate her focus. Vitality was essential for the dawn ahead. A delicate stirring drew her gaze upward to the leafy ceiling. Diminutive, radiant insects materialized from the bark's natural cavities, drifting softly around her temporary haven. Harmless, they neither stung nor bit, only hovered, their luminescence gentle and constant. She observed them for several moments, before one alighted upon her hand. A faint smile graced her lips. A first since crash landing. She'd weathered the initial onslaught, yet night's true terrors were imminent. The woods throbbed with muted threat, the darkness a suffocating hush. The moist air pressed down like a heavy shroud. Each limb quivered with unseen strain, each gust a hushed murmur from unseen lips. Still, cloaked by abyssal shadows and ethereal light, she stood unmoving. With deliberate composure, she meticulously charted her upcoming actions. The treehouse platform's defenses remained incomplete, and the roof leaked moisture, threatening further exposure. Nonetheless, time was on her side. Instinct warned, predators target the frantic and rash. She endured the biting cold before resuming her tasks. The makeshift thermal wrap had effectively wicked away the dampness, so she removed it, neatly folding it and tucking it into the space of the tree. She rubbed her arms with vigor, then gathered several slender branches meticulously piled on a lower bough. They were arid, rigid, and possessed an innate curvature, ideally suited for interlocking. Mia knelt cautiously, maintaining equilibrium as she wedged a pair into a rudimentary corner joint, securing them with the remaining braided fiber cord created during the day. She labored gradually, enveloped in tranquil intention. Her mind remained unburdened by speculation or hypothetical outcomes. Rather than running simulations, she attended to the wind's cadence. The sporadic snaps of faraway branches and the barely audible tightening of her ropes underscored the divide between raw instinct and calculated intellect. While her peers mastered adaptive tactics fueled by predictive algorithms, survival heuristics, and AI-driven simulations, she honed her skills in the Oregon wilderness under her grandfather's tutelage, prioritizing observation over conjecture and acute listening over foresight. Meanwhile, deep below, another event was unfolding, involving a slender, towering cadet. Urich, with skin like shimmering dew, had fashioned a dome from compacted foliage and reinforced resin in a glade. Its impeccable geometric precision seemed absolute. Yet grounded and low, it became a sweltering incubator, alluring night foragers drawn to the resin's pungent aroma. Mia registered his stifled cries, then a piercing shriek. His sanctuary imploded as a force breached its defenses. Shortly after, the unmistakable drone of a retrieval unit ascended and dissipated within the dense foliage. She remained unmoved, unfazed, focused solely on her objective. Wasn't about surpassing others, it was about enduring the wilderness itself. She secured the final corner post, creating a robust triangular roof structure. Then, retrieving two expansive wing-shaped leaves, she meticulously stitched them across the apex using delicate, bone-like thorns as needles. The process was deliberate, ensuring each thorn seamlessly pierced the leave's fibrous veins without causing rips. Once complete, the stitched layer formed a naturally curved, watertight dome, efficiently channeling moisture. Edging cautiously from the platform, she eased into her haven's core, gauging its resilience by swaying laterally. The entire framework shuddered gently but remained stable, emitting a single groan before stabilizing. She reclined, supine, a first since landing on Veral 4. Overhead, diminutive stellar lights penetrated the roof's chinks, though some flickered and shifted, certainly not celestial bodies. She surmised certain arboreal creatures had adapted to simulate astral formations, enticing quarry. Even the heavens held deception. She extended into the recess. Settling beside her, he retrieved a spherical fruit, foraged earlier, akin to an avocado, yet adorned with spiraled rind. Noticing small rodents consume it without incident emboldened her to sample. Delicately peeling the spiral's layers, revealing the tender, verdant flesh beneath, it emitted a subtle aroma, a blend of cucumber and iron. Taking a minuscule bite, the taste was remarkably mild, faintly coarse, but undoubtedly sustaining. She masticated deliberately, prioritizing energy conservation above caloric intake. Her body yearned for warmth, but she wouldn't avert conflagration just yet. Consuming her meal, she contemplated the divergent mindsets that culminated here. Mia reminisced about the Academy's inaugural orientation, alien cadets boasting hereditary pride and ornate armor. Some regarded her quizzically, others with disdain. None envisioned an earth-born human challenging minds forged for adaptability or bodies sculpted for resilience. However, she hailed not from Earth's sterile metropolises familiar to galactic dignitaries. Instead, she flourished beyond the grid, scaling arboreal behemoths surpassing towers, devising snares for elusive creatures, and mending. Broken solar panels, duct tape, and sheer determination. Her training wasn't lab-born, but forged from scars and weathered trials. A new sound, nearer now, snapped her alert, joints silent. She rose, eyes sweeping the low branches. A shadow crept across the forest floor, deliberate, unhurried. The entity was towering, limbs unnaturally jointed, a silent, slender head, and feet that vanished without a trace. It stalked past her tree, paused, head tilting upward, its gaze, 6 eyes in total, fixed on her. Bathed in a gentle amber luminescence, Mia stilled, holding her breath. The creature lingered, then pivoted, moving away, disinterested. Slowly, she eased herself down, the stress ebbing from her muscles. It had detected other scents. It wasn't ravenous, or perhaps she had cleverly concealed herself. Regardless, she wouldn't presume. She drew her leafy cloak closer and rested her head back. Suddenly, a sharp, exasperated yell pierced the night air from a close quadrant. It belonged to a cadet named Xerx, a slender, furry being. The 4-armed entity, luminous orange eyes blazing, had meticulously crafted a hovering sanctuary, manipulating magnetic fields from surrounding minerals. He'd conjured a levitating disk through sheer intellect and bark-etched code, using his species' specialized chalk. But now, a polarity disruption sent the shelter into a violent spin before it imploded in a brilliant energy discharge. Zarek's shriek was cut short, followed by silence. Another drone, another extraction. Mia shut her eyes, refraining from jubilation. Each setback served as a stark reminder of this unforgiving forest. Intelligence and innovation were irrelevant to it. Obedience, adaptability, and reverence were all that mattered. She curled tighter within her leafy cocoon, 3 walls embracing her, a small opening near her knees allowing for crucial airflow. Her elevated perch shielded her from terrestrial dangers. Her scent was cleverly concealed, her fire extinguished. Having eaten, her tools nestled securely within grasp, she remained not only unscathed, but vibrantly alive, allowing her thoughts to roam freely. As slumber beckoned, observation seized her. She recalled her mother's voice narrating classic adventures by candlelight. Grandfather's adage resonated. Intellect is your shield, but only if your body masters patience. That phrase reverberated within her, now embracing her like invulnerable armor in the alien abyss. The forest exhaled a mournful sigh, yet Mia stood firm. The initial genuine terror only erupted after the second surge of darkness. Mia grasped that Virel 4's nocturnal phase wasn't a solitary occurrence, but a dynamic interplay of darkness and tension that ebbed and flowed like tides through the woods, each surge introducing a heightened chill, an intensified atmospheric density, and a transformation in the auditory landscape of the forest floor. The subsequent wave struck with greater force than its predecessor, triggering an immediate physical response. Rigid shoulders, shallow breaths, a decelerating heartbeat synchronized with the pervading stillness. The cry originated from the north, piercing and brimming with terror. It lacked the cadence of natural sound, instead slashing through the night as if something were violently unraveling. Mia bolted upright, her makeshift dwelling intact, but the resonating sound. Through the rough bark, she regulated her breath, the scream echoing for an agonizing 3 seconds before silence. The cadence was familiar. A male cadet, likely Garoon, a powerfully built individual from Drax. His earlier confidence and arrogance during simulations, his derision towards her limited equipment, were now replaced by either brutal dismemberment or extraction. Moments later, a brilliant white light illuminated the trees as a recovery drone descended. Remaining still, she watched it hover near the scream's origin, emit scanning pulses, and ascend, cradling something in its grasp. Arms, whether harboring a corpse or a shattered soul, remained unknown, but Garun had exited the exam. Another voice extinguished. Mia subtly adjusted and assessed the tautness of the bark cordage securing her sanctuary. Everything remained steadfast. The subtle movement elicited a response from below, a guttural growl, not boisterous, but profound and viscous, emanating from something lurking beneath her tree's foundation. Not patrolling like the prior hunter, this one lingered patiently. She averted her gaze, closed her eyes, and exhaled slowly. An hour elapsed. Her muscles screamed, her legs trembled from maintaining. Still precariously perched, the growling waned, yet she dared not presume the beast was gone. It could be lying in wait, attuned to any sound or the inevitable lapse into utter fatigue. Gradually, she shifted, easing her strained legs while maintaining an upright, vigilant posture. The forest night had turned malevolent, a palpable force against all within its depths. Virophore wasn't merely sheltering them, it was observing. To the southeast, an abrupt flash illuminated the trees, an eerie, verdant flicker. Someone had sparked a flame. Chemical torch. Her eyelids flickered, a reflex she instantly lamented as even that minimal motion felt risky. The chemical light summoned unseen entities. The torchbearer, a young cadet named Olanar, hailing from the radiant Ismara orbit, where his kind flourished in light-drenched ecosystems, employing bioluminescent flares for communication, was now far from home. The radiant glow illuminated the immediate vicinity, and momentarily she glimpsed his silhouette darting amidst the trees, the torch swinging erratically. Then, a colossal swift form exploded from the darkness, too rapid to fully comprehend. The torch was released from his grasp, and the light faded into oblivion. There was no piercing scream this time, only a profound thud followed by absolute silence. The drone stayed still. She gulped. Her mouth felt metallic. Her hands were icy even within the supposed safety of the shelter. The agonizing tension had morphed from her body into her racing thoughts. She commanded herself to breathe steadily. Panic was a luxury she couldn't afford. She needed focused clarity, not a surge of adrenaline. High above, branches stirred, not from the breeze but from substantial weight. Something was scaling a tree. Not her tree, but disconcertingly close. The rustling was undeniably deliberate, the pauses unnervingly rhythmic. She subtly turned her head, keeping her body still. In the dim periphery of her sight, she discerned the origin. A cadet scaling, no, clawing frantically up a tree, hands raw. The silhouette was unmistakable. Achan, a wide-eyed, verdant-skinned cadet from a high-gravity planet. He'd tragically misjudged the forest, now feebly mimicking her, his attempt clumsy and belated. Devoid of shelter, possessing no strategic vantage point, fueled purely by raw desperation. He attained a higher limb, hauled himself up, and began to weep quietly, oblivious to the acoustics of the upper canopy. Mia observed as two diminutive luminous forms commenced orbiting the tree's base. They moved with feline grace, but tails stiffened, eyes glazed over. Unseen, yet they saw. She averted her gaze from the unfolding horror. A chain reaction ignited. One scream sparked another. From the west, a desperate cry for aid, a fractured dialect. Southward, a shelter blazed, a heat crystal's malfunction. A cadet erupted in flames, tumbling into the undergrowth, setting it ablaze. Viral 4's ecosystem retaliated, drenching the fire with viscous blue pollen, smothering the heat, yet coating everything in a clinging slime. The body vanished into the tendrils almost instantly. Irretrievable, no distress signal, simply MIA. Gia knew the dwindling numbers were alarming. She recounted, initially, there were 20. Now, by her estimate, perhaps a mere 10 remained, likely even fewer. Forcing unwavering focus, she retrieved a small satchel from beneath the foliage. This she had meticulously crafted from interwoven bark strips. Inside, nestled safely, were 3 gleaming stones laced with metallic dust. These tiny beacons, reflecting only the barest moonlight, could serve as close-range signal flares. She strategically positioned them in a triangular formation near her elbow, in the event that something... Upon reaching her perch, she could strike them to unleash a piercing, instantaneous vibration. Hardly an escape, but a crucial distraction. A last-ditch gambit. The remaining night inched onward like a crippled beast. Each inhale, a calculation. Every whisper of sound, a peril. Silence had conquered even the most courageous. Hours before daybreak, the growl resurfaced, closer this time, resonating beneath her very tree. Clinging to her shelter's edge, she leaned, cautiously transferring her weight downward through a fissure in the wood. In the obscured foliage, she perceived a colossal ebony-skinned entity, its muscles exhibiting ethereal translucence in the lunar glow. Its flared nostrils hinted at its intent as it traversed the landscape on 6 limbs, lacking a discernible mouth. A split spine culminated in a fin-like crest that quivered rhythmically. It wasn't pursuing prey. It was meticulously seeking something. She stifled her breath as it veered, eventually grazing a nearby tree trunk, the wood protesting with a resonant groan. A deep tremor resonated through the earth, vibrating through the tree's bark and permeating her very core, then vanished abruptly. She exhaled, her eyes dilated, fingers still locked in place, witnessing its departure. Had made it the absolute nadir of the night. Though the oppressive darkness lingered, the sun remained elusive. She harbored deep reservations about Viraor permitting a tranquil sunrise devoid of further trials. Instead of a gentle brightening, the sky seemed to rupture, a spectral gray crevice splitting the tree line. It wasn't a sunrise, more like some primordial immense weight had at long last released its grip on the forest canopy. Stars vanished in succession, some dimmed organically, others flickered off like deactivated electric lights. The stifling humidity persisted, yet the air itself underwent a transformation, shifting from the taut, hushed atmosphere of the hunt to a sense of boundless anticipation. Mia opened her eyes, not driven by a faint sound, and the overdue release of inner tension. She gradually rose, carefully unfolding the leafy layers of her makeshift haven, eyes adjusting to the emerging daylight. Her stiff joints initially protested the motion. Hours of inactivity had tightened her muscles, and the biting cold had latched on like a persistent leech. She elongated her neck, rotated her shoulders, and pressed her palms together, relishing the cracking of her knuckles. The elevated platform, though rudimentary, had remarkably withstood the tempest's fury. A meticulous inspection revealed the cordage intact, no branches drooping, proof of the wise selection of durable materials. Not just innovation, but enduring honesty weathered the tempest. She crept to the precipice, gazing down. The forest floor emerged, a mutable canvas of ashen moss, splintered limbs, and ominous streaks absent yesterday. Her arboreal haven stood unscathed, unlike others. Nearby, a sanctuary had crumbled into scorched debris. A 4-meter gash marred the earth. No remains, only echoes of terror veiled in mist. A subtle mechanical hum fractured the stillness. A constant drone filled the air as she gazed skyward. Above the trees, retrieval drones like specters traversed the clouds. Their pattern had shifted. Instead of lone responders to distress signals, they now swept in broad, searching paths. The evaluation was complete. She stood motionless as the initial drone approached, yet it bypassed her. It paused above a neighboring area, extended its appendages, and unfurled a net, gathering what seemed to be tattered remains. With swift efficiency, it retracted the net, its purpose fulfilled. Another setback. The drone pivoted and soared. A second drone flew precisely over her location, lingered momentarily, then proceeded. She started tallying drone arrivals and cargo departures. She witnessed 2 more drones recover living cadets, one hobbling, barely coherent, the other encased in emergency stasis gel. She identified the second as Asara, her exoskeleton now tarnished and fractured. Mia observed her ascent with profound, unspoken reverence. She had endured, however, narrowly. A novel drone descended lower, hovering near her tree, a streamlined, ebony model marked with the Galactic Cadet Academy's emblem, an assessment drone. Eschewing medical supplies, it emitted a focused beam of light, meticulously analyzing her shelter's exterior. She remained motionless, spine erect, chin elevated. The drone pivoted, scrutinizing the platform's foundation, joints, and roof's architecture. It then paused, seemingly grappling with an anomaly. The beam realigned, casting a soft azure circle near her feet. A diminutive screen materialized, displaying a solitary word, pass, rendered in 4 languages. She breathed out deeply, offering a decisive nod. The drone receded, vanishing into the bleak dawn sky. She stood, finally upright, her legs wavering as the platform groaned subtly. Yet she remained firm. Casting a final gaze at her haven, the knots she'd secured, the form she'd painstakingly crafted from memory, not instructions. She knelt and loosened the main cord, securing her roof. The leaves cascaded inwards, softly, like a blanket settling. She collected the bark pouch, the trio of smooth stones, and her. Thermal fabric now, she initiated her descent. The climb down, more arduous than the ascent, demanded unwavering patience with each step meticulously tested. Her hand screamed from the rough wooden grip, yet she persisted with deliberate pace. Touching down on the forest floor, her boots nestled softly into the moss. The weight, now, felt deserved. The forest, still watchful, no longer radiated hostility. Its anger subsided. As she advanced, the retrieval point materialized, less a path, more a clearing where drones congregated, and cadets, battered yet breathing, materialized one by one. A cadet, unfamiliar with the male, noticed his ashen complexion and vacant gaze. He offered no acknowledgement, nor did she anticipate any. This place had exacted a toll on everyone, a price some would never recover. The staging zone, a modest depression ringed by trees, appeared to submit to the trial's conclusion, their branches bent in reverence. A solitary platform hovered at the center, where Academy instructors stood mutely, clipboards in hand, faces impassive. Cadets were systematically scanned, recorded, and ushered aboard. When her moment arrived, she ascended the platform and remained motionless as the scanner swept over her form. One instructor, a towering crimson-scaled female with 3 eyes, inclined her head subtly and deciphered something on her datapad. Human cadet shelter, structurally sound, no distress signals, no injuries sustained, no environmental compromises, no structural failures, she announced. The male instructor approached, his gaze intense. Was she under surveillance throughout the entire cycle? Affirmative, the female responded. Minimal activity, no signs of panic, strict adherence to survival directives. The male instructor acknowledged with a nod. Noted. Mia remained silent, indifferent to her evaluation, and unconcerned with her score. She had transcended mere survival. Having overcome countless trials, the platform ascended, smoothly transporting her to the awaiting shuttle. Entering, she glimpsed her reflection, a visage etched with exhaustion and starvation, clothes tattered and soaked, eyes weary yet resolute. She bore little resemblance to the pristine cadets who had arrived in immaculate uniforms and gleaming equipment. She appeared authentic. She settled into a seat, securing the straps. The cabin remained hushed as the surviving cadets trickled in, one by one. No jubilant cheers erupted, no lively chatter filled the air. Only silence prevailed. The serene presence of those who had witnessed the absolute depths and navigated their way to grief as the shuttle ascended from Viral 4 and the forest dissolved into the clouds. Mia shut her eyes, not for slumber, but for recollection, understanding that in a future, harsher conflict or a more profound emptiness, her experiences here would possess greater significance than any accolade or rank, and she vowed to never forget.